I didn't know if this was going to work. I had never mounted a conga head before and was a little concerned about messing it up, but I gave it my best effort because this drum is special. It's an LP Valhe Armando Peraza drum from the 90s that a friend gave to me. And although I'm very pleased with the way it sounds now, it wasn't quite playable when I got it. So let's go back to the beginning. Okay, let's address the vacuum. I can't remember if a friend told me to use the vacuum to draw the glue evenly into the crack, or did I read it on a conga drumming forum? Wherever I learned it, it worked. And I don't know how well it worked, but I think the drum will be better off with the glue than without. So we're gonna put a new skin on this and treat it well as a studio drum. It's sort of retired to a degree. I went to Manito Percussion's website to get an email address so I could ask for a recommendation on this LP Valhe drum. Sven has given me good advice on other drum heads, and this time he recommended sending me the skin and the flesh ring so I could mount it myself. Flesh hoop, flesh ring. The flesh hoop is the metal that the skin wraps around, and given that Manito Percussion gave me the advice, I followed the steps provided on the website to the extent of my abilities. It wasn't always a pretty situation mounting this head, to be honest. At first, I thought this skin would fit in a plastic tub I had kicking around, but that wasn't the case. So I looked around my house and even walked the backyard for an idea, and finally decided to use an old kick drum head, which actually was pretty good. I soaked the head for 24 hours and checked it about halfway through the process, and it was a good thing I did because there wasn't much water left. So I added more water and was able to begin mounting the skin after the 24-hour soak was completed. In this step, we place a round lift under the head in the center of the skin and line up the flesh hoop. This was a tip from Manito Percussion, and this helped start the placement of the flesh hoop with a little slack so that when the skin was wrapped around the flesh hoop and inside the rim, it's ready to place on the drum. Once the skin with the flesh hoop and rim were ready, I placed it on the drum and started to get the wrinkles out. I started by backing off the tension rod nuts and connecting one side to the rim before moving to the opposite side. It's important to be aware of the wrinkles in the skin as the other tension rods are attached. Once I got 2 tension rods attached to the rim, it was easier to do the rest. Next, it was time to measure the difference between the surface of the drum head and the rim. The recommendation was 3/8 of an inch under very little tension, as loose as possible. I found that my middle finger was 3/8 of an inch, and so I used it to check the height of the collar all around the drum and made adjustments to make it even. 3/8. Hey, look at that. My finger is 3/8, so if I push my finger there, they're good here. I wonder how it is over here. It's a little low here, a little high here, and almost good there. I then measured the lugs to make sure that they are even. I assume that if the collar height is consistent all around the drum and the lugs have the same amount of threads left, then the head will be okay. I don't know for sure if that matters, but it makes sense to me, and it gave a good result. Then it was one more last check for wrinkles, and I was ready for the next and one of the more satisfying steps. I used an X-Acto knife. You can get a hook knife, which would have been better than what I used. In fact, before I mount another head, I'll be purchasing one. The nice thing about a hook knife is that it is sharp and the blade would be pointing away from the drum while you're trimming the excess skin. I used the X-Acto knife on an angle so that the point of the knife was not aiming at the drum head, but I cannot recommend using the wrong tool. These instruments are important and deserve better mitigation of such a risk. The last step before it's ready to play is to let the head dry for a day or two. Make sure that the head is dry when you start cranking it up and adding a lot more tension, but after 2 or 3 days, it should be dry under most moderately humid conditions. I live in a fairly damp part of the world, so I was cautious and slow to crank up the drum. I think I took 3 or 4 days before I added a little bit of tension and then waited a little bit and added a little bit more. In the end, I was happy with this result. It's one of my favorite drums, and very happy and blessed to have it as a part of my studio. If you like this video, check out these suggested to you by YouTube, and if you want more from Rhythm Notes, click this link over here. It takes you to a page with a sign up for my newsletter, as well as the Rhythm Notes Patreon, where you can access the full lesson PDF library and receive more tips. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.